3 words. That is the foundation of everything our guest today does. 3 words that cost nothing and change everything for the women who hear them. I believe you. Dr. Lisa Dawn Fox spent 10 years as a surgeon saving people's physical bodies. She spent 15 years in a marriage being told her reality was not real. And she spent years after that building the practice she wished had existed when she most needed it. Shadow and Soul Recovery, a coaching practice that helps high-achieving women understand not just what happened to them, but the tactics used to make them question their own sanity. Because here's what Dr. Lisa wants you to know. The confusion is not because of you. It's happening to you. Welcome back.
Welcome to the Passion to Payday podcast.
We are your hosts, Becky, Sampson, and
Heather Laughter.
This is where stories turn into strategy and passion turns into profit.
Every episode, you'll hear how everyday women build real income doing what they love, and how you can too.
Turn your passions into paydays. Welcome to the show.
All right. Look, Heather, we don't have to be perfect, right?
No, we don't have to be perfect. Perfect is boring.
I know perfect is boring. And I love that we are building businesses and we're encouraging people that you don't have to be perfect to be successful. So welcome to the show of Passion to Payday. I'm Becky Sampson and
Heather Laughter.
Heather Laughter, take it away.
All right. Well, listen, I am so excited today to introduce you to Dr. Lisa Dawn Fox. She will tell you herself, this is her 3rd career. She spent a decade as a surgeon, one of only 3 practitioners in the Southwest, specializing in diabetic limb salvage, before leaving medicine to raise her children. What she discovered in the years that followed, both through her work in women's ministry and her own 15-year marriage, gave her something no medical school teaches, a firsthand, bone-deep understanding of what coercive control looks and feels like from the inside. Today, she's the founder of Shadow and Soul Recovery, a coaching practice for high-achieving women navigating trauma, betrayal, and the psychological aftermath of coercive control. She is a master certified professional coach with the International Coaching Federation. Her clients don't just survive what happened to them, they leave with the self-knowledge and clarity that makes them unshakable. Dr. Lisa, welcome to Passion to Payday podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a privilege.
Wow. First of all, your background is extensive. And one of the things that we talked about right before we started the show, and by the way, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to come be with us. But I'd love to hear the backstory of like what got you to where you are today. I know it's been a journey.
It has been a journey. Mm-hmm. Really, honestly, for me, my driving passion is advocacy. So whether it was being a surgeon and advocating for people maintaining the quality of their lives by being ambulatory, or working with women's ministries and helping women discover their passion, not just being a wife and a mom, but what else is it in this life that you're being called to do. And then now I advocate for women who have been broken and have lost their voice and are looking to reclaim it and looking to move forward, to have lives that are full and beautiful. And so I love helping women create beauty from their ashes. And that's how I got into what I do. My passion is born from my ashes.
That's beautiful.
It's one of the things that I realize in the divorce space, and what I love most about the divorce space is that most people are coming from that place of heart because they've been through something difficult and they see a better way. And they're like, because I've gone through it, I want to go back and give back. And I do appreciate that very much and coercive control, just so people understand what that means. Can you at least explain what that means? Because that's kind of a new term within the legal system. Kind of a new way of saying some certain things, but can you explain that real quick?
Well, coercive control is at its core the most insidious form and most harmful, destructive form of abuse within intimate partner relationships.
Mhm.
A lot of people look at domestic abuse as you have to have a bruise or someone had to touch you. But the truth is the most harmful bruises don't ever show. And the most harmful form of abuse doesn't ever show. And how that portrays itself and how you see that is through financial restriction. You don't have a car in your name. You don't have a credit card in your name. You're an authorized user. You have a budget, but you don't actually have your own credit
Yep.
card. And you're highly dissuaded from doing so. The mortgage isn't in your name. You are told that you control the finances, but actually you're just given the money to pay the bills every month. And you really don't know what's going on with your finances. Emotionally, it looks like sitting down and attempting to have a conversation that lasts 3 hours and is circular and then comes right back around to what you did wrong, rather than the issue at hand of what your partner did wrong and them turning it back around on you and them becoming the victim and you become the offender, which is something we call DARVO. It looks like gaslighting. It looks like you putting your keys down somewhere that you always put them, and then all of a sudden you go to walk out the door and the keys aren't there. And you're looking at your partner going, where are my keys? I set them right here. Well, I haven't seen your keys all day. I don't know. I haven't seen them there.
Where you left them. I had that exact thing happen to me. He's like, well, where did you leave them? And I'm like,
That's right. And I left them right where they were, and now they're not there. And you go to search the house and you come back and the keys are sitting there. So there are things on a very insidious level that happen very incrementally and very strategically. What I can say about coercive control is that unless you've experienced it, you will never see it. But once you see it, you will never unsee it. It is a form of abuse that, quite frankly, for most of people's relationships, they never have to escalate to physical assault or battery, because using the fear that's instilled with coercive control is enough to establish the power imbalance and establish control in the relationship and keep your partner in their box. It's only when you start to elevate out of the box, when you start to see your partner for who they are, when you start to reclaim your voice or attempt to use it, that your partner then will start to escalate, in most cases, to physical assault and battery as an attempt to get you back inside their box.
Yeah, well, I couldn't have. That was said so eloquently and beautiful, because I don't think people realize sometimes. And I've also been a big believer that I used to always say, I'd rather have you hit me than mess with my head and my brain. And I mean, not that I'm for physical abuse, but I think that that's the only way that we see that there is abuse, is like, you need a bruise. And I'm like, no. There's so much more to this coercive control issue. And for some reason, it seems like there's so much more out there, which is even more of a reason for someone with your expertise to be able to help and serve them in this way. Tell everybody a little bit about, like, who's your ideal client? I mean, I know you've now taken all of this and now you're working with people. Is it mainly the divorce space, or is it any, if they're
it is not
Okay.
Becky and Heather. My degrees and my credentials are only meant to back up being the expert in helping my clients get to where they choose to be. Because for me, every woman knows themselves best. And when you've lived in an abusive relationship, nobody gets to tell you what to do. The only person that gets to make the choice of what you're going to do is you. And it takes most women leaving 7 times and going back before they actually decide to leave the relationship. So if you, as a professional or as a friend even, suggest to your client or friend that they need to leave, and they leave before they're ready, what happens is they go back, and then that box gets smaller for the victim. The box gets tighter. The abuse escalates. There are more restrictions and mandates on that. So how I work with my clients is from a holistic point of view. What do you want to accomplish? Where are you in your journey? Because a lot of women come to me and say, I was referred to you. And a lot of them come to me because they discovered infidelity. And although I do believe in sex addiction, more on my training with domestic abuse, with it being an issue of patriarchy and misogyny and power and control and entitlement, I put sexual acting out on that same level as sexual abuse. If your spouse is doing something without your consent or knowledge and believes that that is okay, that bringing that home without knowledge or consent to your bride and engaging in sexual relations with her, that is sexual abuse. So a lot of women come to me because they've experienced sexual infidelity, or they've discovered their husbands are masturbating or going to massage parlors. And that's the level at which they understand it. It's not till we start getting into the details of what is coercive control. And I do a lot of psychoeducation with them, because a lot of people don't know what coercive control is.
Yeah, they haven't connected the dots yet.
No, and I had not connected the dots. For me, there were two parts of what I had experienced that was making a lot of sense, but there was a puzzle piece missing for me. And when I learned about coercive control, it was just like, that was the last puzzle piece that made everything make sense for me. So I start working with women from that point, and I really start with them from a place of, are you safe? Right. We're talking about women that are being abused in their homes, and the level and escalation of that is very different for every woman. So for me, my first priority is your safety. Mm-hmm. Do we need to talk about safety measures? Do we have to talk about a go bag, stashing cash, getting gift cards when you go to the store now and stashing them, making sure there's always a half tank of gas in your car, that the car is pulled in backwards, that you've put your keys where you know where they are, all of those things. And once all of those things are established, then I move into stability with my clients. And that looks like helping them. I have a very specific program that I work through with them to help them reestablish and regain their voice. And a big part of that is working with them on, let's get your brain back in touch with your gut. I'm a trauma expert. I'm trauma informed. And at some point in these relationships, we have to make a choice. Do we trust our spouse or do we trust ourselves? And we end up saying, we're going to trust our spouse because they've done enough work on us to let us know that the problem's probably us, either our family origin or our history. And so then we go into dissociation. So most of us don't even know what a feeling is, let alone a need.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that too. I know it is very hard to, when, like you, I love what you said, is that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And you start connecting those dots, and especially if it's been a relationship that you've been in for a long, long time. I know. So you've been in business. I mean, what's something that's really working well in your business?
It was my goal when I launched this business to create strategic alignments with women who are moving the needle forward for other women to empower them.
Yeah.
Nice.
And however they do it, whatever realm they do it in, that has been the most strategic and most valuable place I've invested my time.
What do you think your biggest business success has been so far? You've had 3 different careers. What would you say your biggest business success has been?
Oh my biggest business success. Quite frankly, my biggest business success would be an absolute 180 turnaround and pivot from the life that I thought I was living and the dream that I thought I was going to have.
And
turning that around and recreating a brand new life from the ground up.
Wow, that's so powerful. That is so powerful. We feel your passion. I feel your passion, and what you're saying is just, I don't even know, Becky, if it's that there is more coercive control going on, or we're just now figuring out what the hell it means. Right?
That's true. I honestly think that there's a lot more awareness about what's going on. I mean, I know in the court system, they don't, I mean, obviously people say narcissistic, right? But that just shuts everybody down. But coercive control, I did have someone on my podcast that talked about how there's a lot of courtrooms now and judges that are now learning about coercive control, and they're then making decisions based on their court orders based on that. So we are gaining some traction, I should say, in the court system when they use coercive control versus narcissistic. So
I hear that. I mean, and there was a time where everybody who was getting divorced was saying, he's a narcissist. He's a narcissist.
I know.
That's a mental health issue, and that's not every man. However, coercive control could be most of them. Who knows? I don't know that, but you would know that better than me.
Well,
I used to always say, like, when people would say that, I'd be like, what? Why do you always say that? Because as a life coach, you hear that a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And then when I experienced it in my second marriage, I was like, oh, this is what this is, you know? And again, I'm not a therapist or anything to diagnose anybody, but I mean, when you connect the dots, it is pretty crazy.
And we honestly don't really need to focus on the label. Like I'm an expert in personality disorders, and that's really, my clients will go, well, is he? And I'm like, well, I don't really care if he is, and you shouldn't care either. We don't really care what the diagnosis is. We're looking at a pattern of behavior. So let's look at the pattern of behavior, and let's talk about how we present that in a factual manner to the court system, because once my clients do decide to leave their marriages and file, they are used to believing there's a justice system, and we don't have a justice system. We have a legal system. And so as a divorce coach and being very familiar with the system, I help them navigate that system. I help them to create the documents that show the pattern of behavior. We don't use the words abuse in court. We don't use the word narcissism and abuse, because the minute we do that, I hate to say that, and I know that there's a lot of judges and attorneys that are beginning to understand, because we do have coercive control coming into like courts in California that are under the family law. They're not under criminal law yet. I would like to see them coercive control criminalized, like it's been in Australia and New Zealand. It's not here yet. So how do I help you maneuver that system and show the pattern of behavior rather than using any of those words, so that your judge gets to have that aha moment? Because that's what we want your judge to do. We want your judge to say, oh, wow, that is abusive. We don't, I train my clients, we don't use that language. Our attorneys that are representing us, we don't use that language. We describe the specific pattern of behavior, and we lay it out strategically so that it's able to be seen and understood by the judge, whether they understand what coercive control is or not.
Right. So, and something you just brought up is that you do work internationally with people.
I do.
National and international.
I do.
I love it, because it's, I'm going to actually put your banner up so that people see, or you can go to the QR code. But Lisa, thank you so much. I think there's just so much, we have a couple of more questions, because we're going to give a little bit longer on this one, but I think it's important, because I think a lot of people will really relate to what you do. And I want to make sure that they fully are able to get a hold of you and start working with you if that's something that they're struggling with. But what would make the best this year in 2026, your best year yet?
Launching the first retreat with 2 other coaches that I admire and adore, that are working in adjacent spaces to me, and having a beautiful weekend retreat for women to come to and actually learn from all of us what it looks like to recover from the grief, discover what it is that you're experiencing, and come to a place of reclaiming your voice. And then when you've chosen to leave, what does that look like afterwards when you want to start dating? So I have 2 colleagues, and we've gotten together, and we're going to be launching a retreat sometime this year. That would make it the best year ever.
Well, I know you've binge watched our podcast so far. We had a guest just, I think it was 3 ago, earlier today. I know. Did you think about that? She actually is doing very similar. She's wanting to do retreats. Both Heather and I have done retreats. And so we were talking to her. She was a former judge.
I know. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So we want to connect you. This is what it's all about too, is connecting the right people together. I mean, whether or not it works out or not, or if it's, but I'm a true believer that's how you grow your business. The best way and the strongest way is connecting and collaborating. So I'm very, very excited. And then Heather, do you want to ask her?
And I'm a Long Island, New Yorker too.
Ooh.
Are you?
I am. So I caught that in the interview with her. I'm like, oh, there we go.
Well, there you go. You have something in common. So, Dr. Lisa Dawn Fox, could you tell us what the phrase passion to payday means to you?
Passion to payday to me means taking everything that you have learned, that you have experienced, and putting it into not a package, but just embodying that individual that you want to be for others. I became who I became because I didn't exist for me when I was going through my divorce. So for me to be able to make a living at helping women recover, reclaim, and build big, beautiful lives and start over well or stay well, if that's what they choose to do, that is what that means for me.
Beautiful.
That was a beautiful way.
Yeah, redefining payday for us again. Thank you for that. I appreciate that very much.
I know that's been a common thing that payday is not necessarily the money. However, I do also believe that, a lot of coaches sometimes get stuck in not charging anything. And then they're not able to really get off the ground. So, but I love that it does have to come from your heart and it has to be put together to be able to get out there and help more people. Thank you so much for coming on and spending time with us today.
Thank
and
you
can binge watch.
I learned a lot today.
Yeah, you can binge watch anytime you want, girl.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
It's good because they're 15 minutes. Yours is 20 minutes, which is awesome. But I love that you already, binge watched and watched everything. And that's just a reminder actually for anyone that's listening. We've now got over 10 episodes within a week. And so we are going to be going on to all the audio platforms, which is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all that stuff. So next week, isn't it amazing? Within a week, we're already on all those platforms. So check in back with us. And thank you again, Lisa. It's wonderful to have you on, and please contact her. All of her information is in the show notes. Also, you can go to her website, contact her, and see if it'd be a right fit. Thank you so much. And we will see you on the next show.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Passion to Payday podcast.
If you're overwhelmed, spinning your wheels, and not seeing the income you want, there's a good chance you're undercharging for what you do.
We're going to change that. So join us live at our upcoming virtual event, May 13th through 15th, where together we'll build your high ticket offer so your passion finally pays you back.
Save your spot today.
Because your passion deserves a payday.